Was listening to political commentary on a news show, and they had a prominent political scientist, prominent as if teaching, having taught political science for years on the college level. And he said something that just struck me. And what he said led me to the word. So I was led to 1 Corinthians, the second chapter, verses 7 and 8. Paul's first letter to the church at Corinth. Reading this from the New King James, so it may be a tad bit different. He wrote, "But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the ages for our glory, which none of the rulers of of this age knew of." I think the King James says, "For none of the princes of this world knew. For had they known, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory." My word that I'm motivated to give is sometimes there can still be consequences even after you've declared victory. The princes of this world had declared victory after they crucified Christ, but that wasn't exactly how our story ended. My sermon title is "Once Things Start to Escalate." I just heard a brilliant political scientist expound on the Iran war. He spoke of the victory narrative versus the escalation reality. Wow, that'll preach right there. The victory narrative versus the escalation reality. He spoke of how one side's narrative may not be the total reality. In other words, you may not be in as much control of things as you think. Once escalation starts, can you really just stop things on a dime? His theory belies once Iran, another country, the surrounding Arab nations, Russia, China, economic concerns, the economic toll of this war, emotions over deaths, and the sheer chain of events start to escalate, can one side just turn them off on a dime? When things start to escalate, my brother and my sister, watch where you declare victory. Now, let me break that down since I'm from South Memphis. Let me give you a South Memphis take on this. If I was in South Memphis and talking at the barbershop or the shoe shine parlor, I would say, once things start to pop off, it's arrogant to feel that this beef stops whenever you decided to. You can move on, you can declare victory, but the other side may not think that things are over yet. It ain't over when you say it's over, because the other side may not be through with you yet. If I had $1 for every brother in the city of Memphis over the years that told me over the years that they are through with that crazy female, more than a few of them found out that a few of those crazy females were not exactly through with them yet. Neither were the crazy females' siblings, friends, and even their new man sometimes wasn't through with them yet. The same goes for the sisters. You met the crazy brother and you thought you said we through, but he wasn't through yet. Once things start to escalate, how can one side be the only one who says where this thing starts and stops on a dime? So caution should always be the order of the day. The spiritual nugget I would get from this would be, that sometimes the enemy listens to our narratives, and he then lures us in further than we wanted to go. He keeps us in some things longer than we ever wanted to stay. Then the enemy ends up extolling a price from us that's more than we ever desired to pay. The enemy has us declaring victory at times when our feet are still on sinking sand. Watch where you place your feet. That's a life lesson. We're not in total control of some battles that we've entered. Watch where you step. Watch the doors that you enter. Watch how you allow things to escalate with others. You can say you're through, but every now and then the other side has something to say about when things are through. I think that's an awesome preaching word. And to use our sermon text as a backdrop, the princes of this world had declared victory, but that wasn't the escalation reality. You can declare victory all the day long, but that's not how the story may end. There is some realities that we will have to anticipate once things start to escalate. You were just sitting there minding your own business, and more than a person or two, you wasn't bothering nobody, you wasn't asking to be bothered. And here they are. They all of a sudden somebody picks something with you and they decide that things need to escalate. Drop you like a loose penny. But that may not be how this situation ends. Watch how you treat people. Watch how you entertain people, because sometimes there can be consequences after we declare victory. One of the worst places in the world to be is to be in the spot where we've declared victory and still that there may be consequences, that things may have escalated, and this escalation may not be in my total control to stop. So all of us need to walk with a bowed down head, a grateful heart, and all of us need to stay petitioning our Lord, because, Psalm 27 verse 1 says that the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? You better put your trust in God, put your trust in him, because he's the only one to keep us when things start to escalate. It may not be anything with you, but if it's a chip with them, it ain't over. I remember when we used to fight back in the day. I'm 59. We used to fight back in the day. There was a winner. There was a loser. The next day, we were friends. If you fight like that in 2026, you may win that day. But once things start to escalate, we're living in a day, when does the fight end? Talked to a guy at the barbershop. He was talking about his kid having attained his black belt before 10th grade. And I was saying, man, that's so great. And I didn't want to bring him on a downer. But I asked him, who's he going to use it on? Because once things start to escalate and he whoops a kid out of his sheer prowess, what's to say that that kid doesn't go get something else to resolve the score? We get in things now, but once they start to escalate, it takes the grace of God to get you out of. So let's stay prayerful. Let's stay before him. Let's not make the mistake that the princes of this world made. Because once things start to escalate, consequences may be following. So look, that ain't how the story may end. Be blessed.